Nightingale roared across town, and then came to a light.
"No time for that, Kathy. The more authorities you bring, the better. Get there. Stop for nothing."
She wasn't used to breaking traffic laws, or speeding, especially through town at night. But she revved it up and blasted through the light. But soon the cars piled up with traffic.
"Traffic here. Use the sidewalk."
Kathy was feeling very strange now, and she almost couldn't do it.
"Kathy, a radioactive explosion. Get that bike there now."
Yes, nothing could wait, and she mounted the curb and roared on. Finally, after adrenaline-induced heart-pounding traffic-dodging driving, she pulled up to a building higher and across the street from the plant, and parked the bike and got off. Sneaking into the loading dock in the back through an open loading door, she ran towards the service elevator and sent it to the top floor. The plant was guarded and watched with cams too well. She would need an aerial infiltration. The only problem was, she hadn't base jumped before. The elevator dinged, and she stepped out and ran towards the stairs to the roof, busting the door open after melting the lock. She threw her bag on the ground and opened the zipper to reveal a metal frame. With a click of a switch, it began to unfold into a glider as she stepped back and made sure no one was watching. And pop, it was complete. She picked up the light frame and inspected it for holes, and upon finding none, put it above her and stepped carefully to the edge of the roof. This was it. Was it that much different than the rock wall? Maybe. Maybe not. But she had to do this. She had to. Oh boy. And she closed her eyes and jumped. Stifling a yelp or any other noise, she felt the glider pick up the wind and carry her. It felt amazing, and it was terrifying how far up she was. She eventually began to steer, though, and came over to the top of the power plant. Touching down a little roughly, but still intact, she ditched the glider and came to a door near the cooling electrical boxes. Aiming a small, high-powered laser pointer, she damaged the internals of the camera pointed at her, and ran to the door. Using some thermal paste, she burned the lock and slid inside. A hall and an elevator. She jogged the elevator, cut the cable of the camera, watching it from under it, and stabbed a small false card into the reader and began her hack. Beep. It was already done. That was oddly too easy. But maybe he didn't want the best tech to get blown up. Maybe that's why it wasn't. The elevator bell rang, and the door slid open. But she didn't get inside. Instead, she reached around and pressed any button and let it close. But just before it did, she slid a small pipe in between the doors and twisted, extending the pipe and forcing the doors open, and leapt onto the top of the elevator. She rode in the darkness down, and then down some more, and much further still. Soon, it stopped. She was surprised she had even gotten this far, considering the guards she expected. But if the place was truly about to blow, they must be long gone, and the place about to detonate. She had to hurry. She opened the trap door to the roof of the elevator, broke the lights inside with a small boomerang, and dropped to the floor in time for the doors to open. They did, and she eyeballed the halls for more cameras. There was one watching the doors, one that soon got an eyeful of high green-powered laser. And off she went. Down and down the hall she jogged, as quietly as she could. Voices. She ducked into a closet. 2 men walked by, chatting. From the crack in the door, she made out 2 guards. She slid out and made her way further down the corridor. Soon she was at a rather large room built like a massive underground warehouse. There was a huge arc of blasting electricity between 2 metal rods on massive pillars of electronics near what looked like thick, lengthy cables leading into the ceiling, and an excess of electronic equipment she wasn't familiar with. Nightingale slid in the door and into the shadows behind some consoles. There, she listened.
"Looks like everything is up to par. We have an output of 10,000 megawatts and still counting." "Sir, I have some slight Geiger signatures occurring in the gasifier chamber."
Excellent. It looks like we have generated enough heat to create some small amount of fusion. Let our boys in the waste department know we will have a little less free raw material to donate, but more power as a happy accident.
It was incredible. There was no way it was possible, but they were allegedly hitting power levels unknown to one plant. And fusion? The notes were right. This was outlandish, but the power they were making was very real to generate that kind of voltage, with the arc blasting between the two rods. She needed to act fast. If she stopped this now, it could be in time before the detonation went off if people were still here, unless they were to be sacrificed. Nightingale peeked around a corner and reached up and started turning dials. A deep humming began to subside. The arc suddenly vanished, and sparks blasted from a nearby panel.
What happened? We're losing power!
What? Okay, stop the recording. What's going on?
Recording? What? Nightingale slid back behind the console as someone approached.
That's funny. This dial was turned down. But who messed with this?
The lab coat called out.
Is someone back here?
Uh-oh. And she launched out with a kick to the man's knee, buckling it under, and his head into her open palm.
All of you, get out! This place is set to blow! Ow! I think she broke my knee.
What? She didn't hit him that hard, or in that way.
Guards! Help! Security! A terrorist is here to blow up the building. She says she set a bomb.
No, she didn't. Oh, no. Nightingale stepped back and tried to explain as the arcs of power blasted back to life between the two rods.
No, I didn't. Her ex did. It's all a ploy. This tech isn't real. It's all a lie.
A lie? Then why would I be here?
She spun. Brutish-looking security personnel ran toward her. She pulled boomerangs out, but their tasers fired sooner. She deflected one set of pincers with a forearm guard, but the other managed to connect enough to give her a good stunning jolt before she pulled it off her armor. Ow. She slumped to her knees as the two men came to her and grabbed her up by her arms and quickly drug her before her axe. The machine made a distressed noise, and suddenly the arc became more violent.
What? Someone! Fix that! Something is wrong with our machine!
Nightingale shook her head to clear her vision, and then looked at several lab coats making their way to another set of controls, with their backs to the cameras, doing nothing. They were merely pantomiming their hands across the dials and keyboards.
What did you do? Why are you here? Are you here to keep cheap power from normal folks? Is that what you want? More crime to punish? And fight as people are forced to struggle to make ends meet in the streets? Tell me!
Rax screamed. And then, with a wink the camera couldn't see, he let one corner of his mouth rise to a partial smile. Oh no. Her thought must have shown on her face, because he then leaned in for a whisper. That's right. There are no terrorists other than you, other than heroes. Her eyes grew wide. A setup all along. And you fell for it. Perfectly. He leaned back and dropped back into character to spin towards the security cameras and the camera designed to film the entire system working.
What's going on over there?
Sir, we don't know. She did something to sabotage the controls. We can't seem to stop the reactor from becoming more unstable.
Well, keep trying.
Rax's fake panic was excellent acting. He spun again to Kathy.
You! Who paid you? Are you acting alone, or did a rich oil exec hire you? Do you hate the poor?
A guard stepped in front of her, and the camera to block its view, as the other clasped a hand over her mouth. I'm not going to help you. Kathy heard the words, but she never spoke. What? A recording? She struggled to speak, but the hand clasped over her mouth was tight and strong.
But why not? Do you have any idea how many could die from this? Don't we want the same things?
What could we possibly have in common?
Another recording. Where did he get her voice from? When did he record it? It seemed familiar.
Look, I'm just trying to help people, to save the planet. What does that make me, a bad person?
A parasite,
the recording stated. And then it hit her. Their conversation about the antidote to free Adam from the suit.
I'll be taking next to nothing from all who pay. Is that so bad? I have to provide food for my employees' children. It can't be completely free, but I promise it will be affordable to all.
Why are you telling me this?
The recording said heartlessly. Her tone was being manipulated. From a form of auto-tune?
Are you so heartless? Do you hate all these well-meaning people? Stop this madness!
What if I don't?
The recording played, inquiring flatly. And at that, as if on cue, a pop, and sparks flew out of the various components, and a console nearby exploded. Then someone said aloud, "That's a wrap, Mr. Rex. We're off the air."
And the email?
Scheduled as you desired.
Excellent. Pick her up.
They let go of her mouth and yanked Nightingale to her feet.
What are you? How did you... This was all a trap, my dear. Don't you get it?
The men undid her mask from behind her, and Harax yanked it off. One stomped it hard and destroyed the earpiece inside. There went her local Wi-Fi hijacking to keep communication open this deep underground.
I suspected you were Nightingale when I found out how involved you were with that stupid boy.
Her eyes went wide. Would her family and friends be next? Would he kill them as he did Adams?
Don't worry. I have no need to hurt anyone you know. You'll already be dead. I don't need to wound a corpse.
He turned and walked from her.
Is the reactor overload on schedule?
A lab coat turned and spoke.
Yes, sir. We'll be ready to detonate in less than half an hour.
Good. Hold her. Make her watch.
Harax said as he walked over to a console and began inputting commands of his own.
Oh, no.
Night Shadow spoke aloud and turned to consider his possibilities. Would he have to come out of retirement and return to his old mantle? He considered the dangers and possibilities and repercussions that would bring. Would he even be that effective at his age? Could he get there on time? Adam walked out with the black jumpsuit on. He pulled on his cape.
Adam?
Shadow snapped out of it to suddenly notice his young apprentice gearing up.
I heard it all,
he answered firmly.
Adam, you can't. You're in no condition to do this.
I have to help.
He held the mask and hood up.
But you could die.
He paused, staring at the mask, and then put it on anyway.
I know.
And marched off down the hall, and the older hero's very corner of his mouth, faintly, sadly, but proud, curved up.